Hi world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be my September book haul. Did I last as long as I was hoping before buying books after I announced that I wasn't going to be buying books so I could save money? No, I don't care. I have been having a rough go of it the last couple weeks with my mental health, and then I got a gift card from my job for Barnes & Noble and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. So I have a ridiculous stack here. Some of them I've already read, some of them are actually for my husband or like both of us combined, and some of them I'm currently reading. Now the plan is still, by the end of September, I need to have all of these read, with the exception of the ones that are like for my husband or both of us combined. And I've already read 4 of them, and I'm currently reading at least 2 others. I'm gonna try really hard. I'm not gonna make promises, but I'm gonna try really hard. Let's start with the book I'm currently reading, which is Soooooo by Brom. This one, a lot of these books I was like heavily influenced from Sydney, and we have very similar reading tastes, and so I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna enjoy a lot of these. So I decided to pick up this one finally. I looked in to see who Brom was because I was kind of afraid it was like weird AI or something. Brom is actually Gerald Brom, who is an illustrator, and he has done a ton of like fantasy art over the years. He's done a lot of stuff for Wizards of the Coast, which does Dungeons and Dragons. He's done the covers of some R.A. Salvatore books that you've probably seen when you go through the fantasy section of the bookstores. And this one, after hearing Sydney talk about it, I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna pick up a Brom, and it is so weird so far. It has his artwork in the middle where he drew art for the characters, and I'm really enjoying it. This one says, an ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him father, slayer, protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, demon, devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together, they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in its wake. I'm having a bomb-ass time with it. This one is 100% vibes, and I'm really loving it. I'm almost halfway through. Next, we can go into the stack of books that I already read. So the first book that I bought this month, which I bought on September 1st, is Edison's Ghosts, The Untold Weirdness of History's Greatest Geniuses by Katie Spaulding. This one is told from, like, each chapter is about a different genius throughout history. So if you look up a list of like geniuses throughout time, you get probably the same names over and over, and that's what this book is about. But it's about like the weirdest things that those people did to kind of like take them down a notch. And the sections that I read of this, I did really enjoy it overall. I didn't read the entire thing cover to cover because some of them I already knew about. Like Pythagoras had a weird cult, and he really didn't like beans, and so at one point the like townspeople were chasing after him because I forget what he even did, but he came up while he was running away, he came up to a field that's like, it was like a bean field, like growing beans, and he refused to go in it, and then the townspeople caught up with him and murdered him. Thomas Edison had a phone that he thought he could use to talk to ghosts. It was just really weird, and I really enjoyed this one. There was like one thing that I thought was kind of annoying, and it's that the section on Lord Byron is on the back. It says Lord Byron, the acclaimed British poet, literally took a bear with him to university, and I was like, oh cool, the whole section's gonna be about the bear. No, there was like 2 sentences about the bear and the rest about his horrific upbringing. I would just say that was a little bit misleading, but I still really enjoyed it overall. Then I read this one in one sitting. This one is Open Throat by Henry Hoke. This one is so weird, and I really enjoyed it. It's very short. It's been going around BookTube. I've seen it on a couple people's channels now, including Sydney's. And this one is told from the perspective of a mountain lion living in Los Angeles on a hiking trail. And it's just told like literally like the mountain lion, you can kind of see it giving commentary on what it's like seeing people all the time and not being able to talk with them, but knowing that they're scared of him and not wanting to kill the people, but then kind of being like, well, I need to survive. And then there's like the Los Angeles fires, and it was so weird and so endearing, and I just had such a great time with it. So I would recommend this one. Then one day my husband was out shopping, and he decided to go to a local bookstore that we love in Princeton, New Jersey, called Labyrinth Books, and he picked me up Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle, which I then immediately read. This one is a conversion camp horror novel, and conversion camps, if you've never heard of them, are camps that I don't think they exist completely like as many as there used to be. I think some of them probably still do exist, but conversion camps are basically camps where their families will send the gay people in their life and try to convert them into being straight. They don't work. They're horrific, and there's been lots and lots of laws against them, but that's what this one was about, and it was incredible. I thought it was so weird and so gory and so graphic, and I had such a great time with it, and I really enjoyed Chuck Tingle's writing, so I'm very happy that now I have Bury Your Gaze from my library to pick up soon so I can continue to read through Chuck's catalog. And the final one that I've read so far is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a super duper cozy fantasy about a librarian who has a friend that is a talking spider plant, and there's like a revolution going on, and the revolutionaries come to the library and set it on fire, and so the librarian has to grab as many books as she can and escape with the spider plant, and then she goes to live on the island with the spider plant and all of these books where she grew up. She moves into her family home. The townspeople think she's a witch. It's just wonderful. It was so cozy, so cute. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm super happy that I read this one. Then we can go into the books that are for my husband. He is a huge Dante's Inferno fan. He has a couple different editions of it. He's read it many, many times through various versions and translations. He has a sleeve tattoos that are all scenes from Gustave Doré's like interpretation of Dante's Inferno. And he was looking up, he wants to do a reread, and so he was looking up the best version out there that also has footnotes, because there's obviously a ton of background involved, a lot of like religious symbolism. That's what the whole thing is. When he was doing research, he found that this version is the one that people really recommend. And so this one is translated by Robert Hollander and Jean Hollander. Our local Barnes & Noble had a copy. One day when I knew I was going to go to Barnes & Noble anyway, I stopped in and I picked it up for him. So I did buy this book, but it is for my husband. And the other one that is technically for both of us is this one, which is The Eye of the Bedlam Bride by Matt Dinniman. This is book 6 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, the biggest one so far. They are publishing all of them now in these editions, and this was the one that we didn't have yet, and I wanted to get it so that I can have them all on the bookshelf looking so beautiful together. My husband has read the series twice so far. There's only 7 books out so far. Book 8 comes out hopefully in June of next year, but we'll see. I am up to book 6, and I will not be reading this one this month. I will be reading this one in December, so I can read book 7 next year, like between January and June, like somewhere in the middle there. And then ideally book 8 will come out in June and we can get it and pick it up and read it together. This one I knew I wasn't going to be reading right away, but I really wanted to get a copy. And then I also pre-ordered book 7, which comes out later this month in these editions. Then I joined Sydney's book club through her Patreon. It's The Greenhouse, and one of the books that is either for this month or next month is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, which is the prequel to The Spell Shop. This one, I haven't looked into it a ton. I just know that it tells the story of the librarian that used magic to create the talking spider plant from The Spell Shop. And this one was super cute, and I imagine this one's going to be just as cute. And so I'm super happy that I will have both of them on my shelves. And I saw they did announce book 3. So I will read this one and then definitely get book 3. Then after whatever month, I don't know if this one will be October or November, is this one will be the buddy read for the book club. And this one is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This one is the start of a duology. The second one is Two Twisted Crowns. And it says, Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient mercurial spirit trapped in her head. He protects her, he keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder of the dark magic infecting it. Except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder and guilty of high treason. I've heard that this like duology is really, really good, and I am determined to stick with a book club. I have joined so many book clubs over the years. I've run so many book clubs over the years, and I never stick with them beyond like a month or two. And so I am determined to stick with Sydney's book club and read this one after we read The Enchanted Greenhouse. Then this one is a little bit of a spoiler for an upcoming reading vlog, but I decided to pick up A Blind Date with a Book at Barnes & Noble, and I'm doing a reading vlog where I'm reading through it. And I haven't picked this one up in a couple days, but I read the first 100 pages, but I ended up getting Immortal Dark by Tejas Gurma. This one has some Ethiopian inspired magic, and it's vampires. It's set at a university. Like, I'm just having such a good time with it so far, so I'm really hoping that I'm gonna end up enjoying this, and I will give more thoughts in that reading vlog. Then I decided to pick up the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This one will probably be one of the final ones that I read in September because I think it's more perfect for October. But I bought it in September, so I need to read it in September. And this one is just a small town. It says a small town spicy romance. I've heard if you go into it just wanting to have a good time, that's the best way to do it. I know this is the start of a series, and if I enjoy this one, I'd like to get the one for Christmas right after and just read my way through them. So I'm very excited for this one. Then this was last month's pick for Sydney's book club, and she was just raving about it so much. So I grabbed The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I also watched Reagan from Peruse Project read this book, and she also really enjoyed it. And this one is the beginning of a new series, and it says, "Let us fly now to the Empire of Oran, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Bursun the Brusque has come to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists compete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nima Kra, the Emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne. Nima believes she is alone, but we are here to help. All she has to do is let us in. If she succeeds, we will win an empire. If she fails, death awaits her, but we won't let that happen. We are the Raven, and we are magnificent." I've heard that the magic system is like really unique and that people are just having a great time with it. So I'm very, very excited to pick this one up, even though it is quite a chunker. Then another one that ended up being one of Sydney's favorite books after she read it is Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop, translated by Shauna Tan from Hwang Bo Rum. And this one is a Korean like smash hit that people are just really loving. And it's about Youngju, who is burned out. It says she did everything she was supposed to: go to school, marry a decent man, get a respectable job. Then it all fell apart. In a leap of faith, Youngju abandons her old life, quits her high-flying career, and follows her dream. She opens a bookshop. In a quaint neighborhood in Seoul, surrounded by books, Youngju and her customers take refuge. From the lonely barista to the unhappily married coffee roaster and the writer who sees something special in Youngju, they all have disappointments in their past. The Hyunamdong Bookshop becomes the place where they all learn how to truly live. It's a heartwarming story about acceptance and the healing power of books. I am all for cozy Japanese, Korean, translated fiction. Anything set in a bookshop or a library or a university, absolutely love it. And I trust Sydney's opinion, so I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. Then this one just sounded really, really fun. I've read one book by Hannah Alkoff and really loved it, so I want to read more from her. So this one is The Grimoire of Grave Fates, created by Hannah Alkoff and Margaret Owen. It says, "For these students, magic and murder never play by the rules." And it says, "You've never seen a murder mystery like this. 18 young sorcerers whose stories were written by 18 different authors race to find a killer within the walls of their esteemed magical academy." I think that sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to get to this one. The only thing I'm disappointed by is, so if you hold it like this, you're like, oh, okay, the pages are kind of yellow. But if you hold it like this, you can see that this was clearly on a shelf facing the giant windows in Barnes & Noble, and it got sun bleached or like sun stained, which is really annoying. I'm not super thrilled about that, but whatever, it was the only copy that they had. So I'm very excited for this one. Then one that I never read. I've been on BookTube for 10 years and I've seen this one over the years many times and I never read it, but I think now is the perfect time. I finally have a copy of The Diviners by Liva Bray. This one takes place in the 20s in New York. There's a speakeasy. The lead character says Evie has been exiled from her boring old hometown and shipped off to the bustling streets of New York City. The only catch is that she has to live with her Uncle Will and his unhealthy obsession with the occult. Sounds perfect. Absolutely love reading books about occult shit, and I'm just so excited for it. Then I wanted to read a spooky nonfiction, and my husband and I have been talking a lot about Edgar Allan Poe recently, and I found this beautiful edition at Barnes & Noble of The Raven. I've read a handful of Poe stories over the years, and they're fun, but it's just like, same with H.P. Lovecraft for me, that they just don't hit as hard for me as they do for other people. But this one sounds like it's going to be really interesting. So this is A Mystery of Mysteries, The Death and Life of Edgar Allan Poe by Mark Dawidziak. And this one is literally just about Edgar Allan Poe's life and his really weird death. It says that, yeah, apparently he died in October of 1849 at 40 years old, and his death was like really weird. I've been to Edgar Allan Poe's grave site in Baltimore, and it was just like really like nondescript, just like down this street. There's like a big monument for him, but I thought this one would be really fun to read in the fall. So I'm super excited to pick up like a weird nonfiction. Then I want to do a reread. I've read Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Oh my God, how long ago is that? Over 10 years ago, I think, maybe. And I've just been really in the mood to reread it. And so I grabbed this copy because I don't own a copy anymore. And I'm excited for the reread. I would love to get to this one by the end of September, but I also just want to have a good time with it. I'm okay if I get to this one in October, if it means I get to a lot of the other ones first. And then the final one that I have to show you is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I had a copy of this one for a long time, but it was a mass market paperback and I never picked it up. And then it kind of fell off my radar for a really long time, but recently I've heard a lot of people talking about it again, and they republished it with these really pretty covers. My husband and I are very excited to both read it. My husband is, he read Dungeon Crawler Carl series once all the way through, back to back, and then he listened to the audiobooks all the way through, back to back. He just finished a first read of The Silmarillion by Tolkien. Now he's about halfway through Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I'm hoping I can convince him after to read this one with me. So this is like a kind of a classic fantasy series at this point. It's about an orphan that lives on the mysterious island city of Camor, but young Locke Lamora dodges relentless danger, becoming a thief under the tutelage of a gifted con artist. As leader of the band of light-fingered brothers known as the Gentleman Bastards, Locke is soon infamous, fooling even the underworld's most feared ruler. But in the shadows lurks someone still more ambitious and deadly, faced with a bloody coup that threatens to destroy everyone and everything that holds meaning in his mercenary life. Locke vows to beat the enemy at his own brutal game or die trying. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's got some of my buzzwords for fantasy. I absolutely love fantasy stories about like thieves. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to enjoy this one as much as everyone else seems to. So that is my book haul. I didn't pay for all of these myself because I did have that gift card, like I said, but also I just realized that like reading, being around books in all capacities is very much one of my comforts and one of my coping mechanisms, and my mental health and anxiety have just been kind of going crazy on me the last couple weeks, and so I just really wanted to do things that were really comforting, and one of those is being in Barnes & Noble or bookstores and buying books. Hold me accountable. I need to read as many of these as I can by the end of September. Today is the 16th of September. My wrap up better be a lot of these books, honestly, at this point, but I'm really gonna try. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Did you get any books in September that you're super excited to get to? And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.